So here's our finished forged dagger. You'll see nice clean plunges down at the ricasso. You can see the nice ridge line going right down there. Matching on both sides. It's pretty good. So that's going to just about do for that. What I've got here is a jug with hydrochloric acid. It's about a 1:5 ratio hydrochloric to water. And I'm going to put the blade in there for 10-15 minutes. And I'll have to rotate that a few times, scrub it a few times, and all the scale will kind of dissolve off. And then we'll get to normalizing and cleaning up. Alright, now so while that's sitting in the acid and cleaning up, I wanted to kind of point out some of the tools I'm using here, kind of give an explanation of what's going on. This is a vertical forge. I primarily use it for welding Damascus and so forth, but my horizontal forge is not working at the moment, so we've been using this to work on this blade. A couple of blades sitting on top because it's a safe place to put a hot blade. Nobody really sits on that. Over here I've got the blower. Blows air into, you can't really see it, but the burner inlet is on the other side. And I've got a propane tank around the back side, kind of shielded from the heat with a regulator on it, and it mixes in there and burns in there, and then we go. Sorry about that. Most of my forging I do with this 4-pound hammer. It's just a plain cross peen French pattern hammer. Got it from Kane & Sons, blacksmithdepot.com. One thing about hammers, if you've never used a forging hammer, is you really need to polish the face. It doesn't come with nice rounded corners, so you'll have to take it to a grinder or a file or whatnot and round all those corners off, polish it all up. I've actually got a little nick right here that I need to get out because it's been causing me trouble. And for planishing, or finish forging, I use a little 2-pound Czechoslovakian style hammer, or it's actually a Yuri Hoffy style hammer made in Czechoslovakia. And again, the face is very well polished. A little bit tighter radius on the edges because I'm using it to get really fine into details. This is an interesting thing that you won't see very often. If you drill a hole there and slice up into there, you kind of it deadens some of the vibration from the hammer. It's a little more, fatigue friendly for the user. On anvils, I have actually a variety of anvils, but the one that I use the most is this one right here. It's a Chuck Robinson C. Robin Forge. Now it gets warm. Anvil. It's a 200-pound billet. It's basically a 5-inch by 5-inch chunk of steel that's, roughly 24 inches long, and it's hardened on the ends, and I love it. It's a great anvil. Typically, when you hear about an anvil, you would be expecting to see something more like this one right here. This is a little bit older anvil that I use. It's a 200-pound as well. There's some standard names for stuff on anvil if you're not familiar. You got the horn, the heel, the hardy hole. This one doesn't have a pritchel hole, but there's usually a little round hole right there called a pritchel hole. And that's about it. So we'll get moving along on the blade. Alright, so this is my heat treating furnace. It's a 20-gallon drum. It's got 1.5 inches of ceramic insulation inside, and there you can see the probe that runs my temperature pyrometer. Now you can see I'm running just a little bit hotter than I want to be right now. I need to be at 1450, and I'm at 1460 right now. But as we're coming up to temp here, I'll kind of adjust it back and forth until it's exactly what I want. And what I've done is taken a set of tongs here and just kind of securely fastened the blade into the tongs, and there we are with the blade. As you can see, that's just the forged finish, a little bit cleaned up from the scale, and we're going to normalize it. So all we're going to do is put it in this furnace at 1450 degrees, let it sit for about 10 minutes or so until it's up to its correct temperature, and then I'll pull it out and just let it cool normally, and then I'll drop the temperature 15 degrees, 1435, and I'll do it again, and then again at 1420, and then at 1400, and then we're done. And then we grind it and polish it and go on from there. So, moving on. So, here we're just going to set that right in there. Being careful not to hit my pyrometer lead. And, actually, let me turn that over. Turn it down a little bit. There we go. And that's about an inch away from the pyrometer. Let me pull you over here so you can see that. You can see it right in there. Make sure not to touch that pyrometer probe. And we'll come back in about 5 minutes. It'll be up to temperature. As you can see, that's dropped our temperature significantly. Just putting a cold mass into the furnace like that messes everything up. So it'll take it 10 minutes or so to get back up to heat, and then we're good. As you can see, we're at 1345 and climbing, yada yada. It's been 45 seconds, so it'll take a couple minutes. Alright, so it's been about 8 minutes. We're just about up to temperature, and you'll notice looking in there that the entire blade is one nice pretty little color. That's very, very important. Everything needs to be the exact same temperature, and once we get up to 1450, which will be just another couple of seconds, we will want to hold it at 1450 for probably about 5 to 10 minutes. So, alright, so here we are, about 10 minutes later. Been hovering right at 1450, 51 for most of the time here. So we'll go ahead and pull the blade out. I'm going to clamp it in the vise and let it set for about 10 until it cools off normally. So being gentle not to bump stuff. There we go. Surprisingly not nearly as bright and red as most people think. Alright. And there we are. It's just gonna sit there. You can see how it's turning back to dark. Let it cool all the way to a full black heat so there's no red left in it. And we'll stick it back in the forge and run it up to heat again. Alright, so I won't waste your time with that, but that's what it looks like. We're going to do that 3-4 times.